Il'gynoth is this crazy, mysterious being that we first faced off in the Emerald Nightmare and then ultimately at the end of Battle for Azeroth. He gave us some quite intriguing whispers which people have been speculating on for years at this point. However, as Shadowlands is progressing, eerily enough, a lot of these whispers are starting to make a lot more sense than they used to in the past. Seeing that there is definitely a potential connection between the Void and the Shadowlands, let's take a look at some of these most interesting whispers and how they might tie in with the current events. I'd like to thank Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video. They've sent it to me about 6 months ago and it is amazing. You can put in 12 cards, you can put cash on the side, and it is just so much more practical than a regular wallet. There are over 30 colors and styles including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. There is a lifetime warranty and a test drive for 45 days, meaning if you don't love it, you can send it back. If you go to ridge.com/Doron, you can get 10% off as well as free worldwide shipping. Check out the link in the description below. We don't really know what Il'gynoth even is. It is certain that he's definitely some type of a void being, but it is literally an aberration and not really a typical race that we know of. First, he appeared as this hard thing in the Emerald Nightmare, and ultimately, he was a boss in Ilota, the Waking City. Before we dive into some of his whispers, let's get a few things straight. There really seems to be a lot of indications that the Void and the Old Gods might somehow tie into the Shadowlands and this entire Death Realm. There are a ton of various hints, but an interesting bit of evidence is that they corrupted the Emerald Dream, known as the Nightmare, and we know that the Dream is heavily tied to Ardenweald, which is obviously a significant realm in the Shadowlands. Second, a lot of dialogue, not just from Il'gynoth but also the Zod, makes it seem like they're more than aware of the Jailer and they might know exactly what is coming in the future. Long ago, the Void was seen as just pure evil and absolute chaos, and it still kinda is in a way, but Blizzard decided to make everything a lot more gray. For example, the Light is said to be all about righteous truths at any cost, while the Void is all about half-truths and multiple visions and way things might turn out, which might as well define chaos itself. Because of that, it is entirely possible that some of these whispers are purposely vague, so they refer to multiple things at once or are half true. So let's just take a quick look at some of them. Starting off with the most interesting one that kinda ties into this entire struggle on the cosmological scale. The cunning ones kneel before 6 masters but serve only one. This comes right out of the mouth or whatever he even has of Il'gynoth. I'm almost certain that this refers to the Dreadlords, although we'll definitely know more as we get to 9.1 and beyond. So let's break this down. We've learned that the Dreadlords more than likely originate from the Death Realm and that they have infiltrated every other force across the universe to cause chaos. First, they turned Sargeras against the Pantheon, and then started the Burning Legion, and then they used the Legion to create the Lich King. If this, which more than likely does, refer to the Dreadlords, the quote makes perfect sense. Dreadlords are known to be incredibly intelligent, aka the cunning ones. 6 masters are the 6 forces on the cosmology chart: light, life, order, shadow, death, and disorder. And the only master is obviously death. So it is more than likely that Il'gynoth was talking about the Dreadlords this entire time. Now, to really bring this point down, let's look at a quote from Zod himself. 6 seats at the high table, 6 mouths that hunger, 1 will consume all others. I think this definitely refers to the cosmological war that really seems like a free-for-all, or it is a case of a few such as the ones on the opposite side of order trying to take out all of the others. This one that plans to consume all others might refer to those that have such ambitions such as the Jailer or the Void Lords. Now, let's turn to the other side and look at a few quotes that eerily enough seem to describe pretty much exactly what is happening in 9.1. The Golden One claims a vacant throne. The Crown of Light will bring only darkness. If this doesn't refer to Anduin, then I really don't know what does. Anduin is the Golden One. His throne installment is vacant, and he's a priest, so he's the Crown of Light. Now, he's serving the Jailer and is bringing darkness. Subsequently, we have the Boy King serves at the Master's table. 3 lies will he offer you. This might refer definitely to some events in the past, but it seriously makes so much sense with these keys that we have of the Jailer. First of all, Boy King, obviously Anduin. We know that there are more than likely 5 keys the Jailer needs, and once Anduin brought back the key from the Archon, the Jailer says 3 keys remain. So 3 lies, 3 keys, it definitely could be a possibility. Next one we have is 5 keys to open our way, 5 torches to light our path. While this more than likely refers to the Pillars of Creation back in Legion, it is entirely possible that this also refers to the Shadowlands. You know, half-truths and all, it could be referring to multiple things at once. So if there really are 5 keys the Jailer needs, this could definitely be it. Now, why they say light our path we can talk about in a different video, but I think it might tie in with the Voidlord Shadowland connection and how those two kinda interlink. Now, there is another quote similar to this that says, "From the earth he draws strength, our earth, our strength." This is one of the weaker quotes, and I'd say more than likely refers to prior events from the other expansions, but there is a possibility that he is talking about the Jailer, especially as they say he draws strength. You know how the Jailer said that death is coming for our world soul and how he had a presence in Azeroth. Old gods used to control Azeroth with the Black Empire, so it is more than likely that they still refer to it as our Earth. So the Jailer is drawing strength from our Black Empire. Now, another really interesting one is the Lord of Ravens will turn the key. This seriously seems like he's talking about Odin. If you want to know more about this, I made a separate video in this topic in detail, but here's a quick recap. We know that the Eye of the Jailer from the mod, the thing that actually attacks you, is actually the eye from the Titan Watcher Odin back from Legion, who is the leader of the Titan Watcher Pantheon on Azeroth. We will also be facing off this Eye of the Jailer in 9.1 in Sanctum of Domination, as it will be a boss. Now, as Odin is obviously based on Nordic mythology, he might exactly be the Lord of Ravens, and he even possesses 2 ravens that bring him information. I think this might just be referring to the Eye of the Jailer encounter and how this might be one of these 3 keys that the Jailer needs, so the Lord of Ravens will turn the key. Now, let's take a look at one that also has strong correlation to the Shadowlands. Before the last shadow falls, the Father of Sleep shall savor his feast. Muezala, the Loa of Death and an ally of the Jailer, is referred to as the Father of Sleep. What this exactly means, it is really hard to say, but the Shadow might be referring to once again the connection between the Voidlords and the Jailer. Lastly, let's look at 2 more quotes that I think are loosely connected, but definitely could make some amount of sense. Her heart is a crater, and we have filled it. This more than obviously is referring to the Heart of Azeroth, the Wound, the Azerite, and all of that stuff. But, you know, half-truths and all, it could also be talking about the Shadowlands at the same time. First off, it could be talking about Sylvanas and how her heart is a crater of sorrow, but it could also be referring to the Arbiter. As you might remember, the Arbiter actually has a heart in her chest, surprisingly in the same spot where the Jailer has a hole, but that is a different topic. And by filling this heart, this whisper might be about the fact of how the Arbiter was disabled and the Shadowlands machinery broke. Now, the final quote is, "At the hour of her true death, she will usher in our coming." So this one obviously refers to Ashara and the events of Battle for Azeroth, but once again it could be referring to something else, and when you think about it, the same thing could be said about Sylvanas. Seriously, she died 2 times by now if you look at actual deaths, not when she was Valkyrie resurrected. First as a Ranger General, then as she threw herself off the Frozen Throne, and this 3rd death might be referring to her as the final boss in Sanctum of Domination, as we will be facing her. We know that there is this whole doubt in the Jailer thing and the possibility of switching side, so at the hour of her 3rd death, when we defeat her, she will usher in our coming. This might mean that something with the Voidlords or the Old Gods could happen, which could ultimately lead into the next expansion. Now, it is super hard to say it now, but I do believe that the next expansion might just be about that and us finally facing off these mysterious Voidlords. So overall, these Void Whispers are, in my opinion, more than interesting, and there is a huge possibility that they refer to multiple things at the same time. Now, I definitely could be wrong on some of these, but I feel like they might just play a role in what is to come in the future of the Shadowlands. Thank you for watching. Check out all Guineas be restored after Shadowlands by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.